There, hello? There we are. Okay. Just wondering where there wasn't any sound going off. I think there's sound now. Should be sound now. Yep. Okay, good. We got sound there as well, so we should be good. Good. Oh, no. So, I have been away from a little bit, but I'm now back. Got some things to talk about. There are things going on in the world that we wish to talk about. There is, for example, a B-52 just outside Israel, which I just discovered. There's a B-52 outside Israel. I'm so gonna do a little bit of a clipping thing here, because that's my duty to please that booty. No, that was shaft. You guys do that? It's a B-52 in the Mediterranean. Don't want to keep that. Oh my god. There's a B-52 outside. Here, let's take a look at that. It's right there. Take a look at you. What are you doing? What are you doing? Question is, where are you going? Question is, where are you going? Any more? No. It's interesting, though. Into the B-52 upside here. Never seen that one before. Anyway, the commander-in-chief of the Russian Navy, Admiral Mikhail Imov, was dismissed, and Admiral Alexander Mushiev was temporarily appointed in his place. Admiral Mikhail Eminov was dismissed as Admiral, who previously commanded the Northern Fleet, was appointed Minister served submarine in 2000 by the initial decree. Major received the title of Russian hero. Right. Okay. Okay, so I've got some other things here as well as I want to talk about. Look at this, for example. I mean, this is the greatest joke of all time. We have no ships in the Black Sea. Have you looked at the bottom? Have you looked on the bottom? We've got to like it, but it's great. And also this. Take a look. Moving missiles close to the Russian border. Source Newsweek here. NATO countries are implementing a rational air defense model stations in Lithuania in response to the calls from the Baltic states to boost European defense capabilities in the region. According to Lithuanian Defense Ministry address Redress Anus Akus, I don't know, who spoke about the defense model at the press conference Thursday. The defense systems will be operational in the nation later this year. NATO countries agreed to creating a rational system in which allied countries would deploy air defense systems to the Baltic states for a period of time during the Vilnius NATO summit in the summer. Oh yeah, that's in Lithuania, right? Yeah, the Vilnius. Yeah, that's in Lithuania. That's something to do every year. That's bold. No, but for NATO thing, it's bold because other people, you also have to think about NATO. They don't tend to do all those kind of things. They kind of tend to try and stay out of the trouble. But now they're walking into it. Here we have it. Russians has expelled the last inner go atom. Sorry. Employees remain loyal to Ukraine from the temporarily occupied ZNPP. According to the company's acting chairman of the board, Petro Kotin, instead, the Russians have recruited personnel who do not have the competence. to work at the plant. Europe's second. Well, it's one of Europe's biggest, largest um, uh, nuclear power plants in Ukraine, still operational, has been reduced to only being on one existing power line. They previously had 4, now they're only on 1, and it is temporarily hoping on it. Right now, I don't see the flurry in Russia blowing up that area there. I mean, you have to think about the timing. Obviously, right now, Russia is pretty much winning on the battlefield, and if they do continue to win, that's something I don't see happening. But I mean, Russian incompetence can make anything happen, really. So, you know. But according to the imaginary 10-point scale of danger, the risk of the ZNPP are estimated to the level of 7 and 8. Just read that again there. Head of Energo Petro Kutin, due to the cumulative effect of the degradation of isolated elements, of the station, the entire system may fail with very serious consequences. This has already happened so they're actually saying the entire systems may fail with very serious consequences. This has already happened at Chernobyl and Fukushima. So 1986 and 2011, these are 2 things that happened there. So he clarified that the Russians do not carry out, this would be a nuclear meltdown of a disastrous level unlike we've ever seen. He clarified that Russia do not carry out the necessary repairs and captured nuclear plant. There are no qualified personnel for this, and the normal operations of the nuclear power plant it is at risk. I keep saying it. The nuclear power plant is at risk. It just seemed to me that this could be Russian incompetence in total. I mean, it doesn't make sense for Russia to do this right now. You have to think about sort of the timing. If Russia was about to lose, and they were about to lose Zaporizhzhia, and they knew they were going to lose Zaporizhzhia, that's very likely. I mean, the U.S. just came out with their own statement saying that if they did believe that if Russia were to lose Kherson, which they did, was going to be ground for a nuclear attack. So they did prepare for that, but it didn't happen, obviously. But now we're looking at a point where, I mean, simple Russian incompetence could make something very terrible happen. These things you have to take very seriously. And in wartime, nuclear power plants that needs to be run and taken seriously sometimes might not be taken as seriously as you think. So at least in Russia or in mostly Russia, Europe will probably have the capabilities to continue to do a good job. But Russians, they don't think about that. And they have been training their soldiers to fight in nuclear capabilities. We know that because that was last year. I don't know if they've continued that training, but it is a very likely possibility that they have. And we are not aware if the Russians do intend to cause some kind of meltdown. But, that was certainly the fears to start with. But nowadays, it doesn't make a lot of sense, as I've said before. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. You have to think about the timing as well. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. But, you never know with the Russians. You really never know. They do whatever the hell they want to do whenever they want to do it. So there are some interesting planes up here in the Western Hemisphere. We got a Russian Airbus heading out towards the Black Sea. And what's this? Azerbaijan? Yeah. What's this? Oh, we got an E6 doing lines here in Norway. Took off from Sweden, heading down towards Oslo right now. 86, welcome in. How are you? Yeah, I'm back. I've taken some time off to relax. I was getting a bit too much, and I needed a better sleep schedule, which I now have. I'm just much more relaxed, able to do I don't know if I'm able to do a better show, but I'm certainly able to do some more thoughtful shows. And I've done some things, and now I have a little bit more time, so things are great now. So yeah, I want to take a look at this right here, 86. Look at that. That's a B-52 in the Mediterranean right now. There's a B-52 in the Mediterranean heading towards Egypt. It's just outside Egypt, actually. Look at that. That's a B-52. United States B-52. It's a bomber plane, guys. It's a bomber plane. So yeah, I mean, the ZNPP, as I've been mentioning, they certainly have their problems right now. I mean, we are back on a ZNPP watch, and you guys know that it's the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, and I've been keeping an eye on it because there's been a lot of talks about it. The imaginary scale, and I'll read this to you guys again here if you didn't get this here. It is from the 10-point scale of the danger at the risk of the ZNPP. It's at a 7.8. And the reason why it's at a 7 to 8 is because there's only really one existing power line that has enough power to continue to run the plant's functions, keeping it cool and stuff like that. Without the cooling systems receiving power, the power plant itself would deteriorate and possibly melt down. The Russians don't repair it, as he clarifies here. The Russians do not carry out necessary repairs at the captured nuclear power plant. There are no qualified personnel for this normal operations of nuclear power plant. Plus, due to the cumulative, I don't even know that word, effect to the degradation or whatever of isolated elements of the station, the entire system may fail with very serious consequences. He mentions, and this is not anybody, this is the actual head of Eneco, the people who run this power plant, mentions that this could be a Chernobyl/Fukushima. And Fukushima is also another meltdown that happened in 2011 in Japan, and Chernobyl is also a meltdown that happened in Ukraine. So this is the second meltdown problem in Ukraine over the past few years. Chernobyl is over here. And, Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is right, as I can show you on the map here, is right over here. Right? Well, so remember that. Damn it. It's right over here somewhere. Right? Yeah, somewhere over here. So, yeah, it's quite serious. It is. It is quite serious. NATO is moving rockets. Macron has mentioned that they may send Western soldiers into Ukraine, and this would happen in two scenarios. If Russia was to capture the Odessa region, there was talks that Macron said that there would be a possibility of sending Western troops into Ukraine, or if Russia was to reach Kyiv. So that is the two possible scenarios that they're looking at right now. Things are happening. Things are happening, and the Middle East is more fluctuated than anything. Half of Ukraine is on red alert right now, so not a good time. Yeah. Anyways, since I haven't been live for a little bit, we have the live news, flash news from the 8th. I reckon we can watch that. I haven't been live for a little bit, so we can watch. I haven't been live for some days here, so the 8th of March, haven't been live there, so let's watch it. See what happens. I am aware that a couple of ships has been taken out by the Ukrainians, so that's pretty good. Good job, Ukraine. Oh, Witchy, welcome in. We're watching the news from the 8th. I've talked about some stuff at the ZNPP, and you might remember the ZNPP, Witchy. I've just talked about it. Things are happening at the nuclear power plant in Zaporizhzhia again. And we'll watch this here, but that's going to show the mod here. This is a B-52 in the Mediterranean. This is a Boeing B-52 Stratofortress, the bomber plane outside Egypt in the Mediterranean. some stuff going down here. But we'll continue to watch this here. Yeah, I'd go back and watch, which I'd go back a little bit, catch up. You might question yourself, did that guy really have to hit these guys? You have to put yourself in the position of what these guys are doing. I mean, these guys are evading, trying to serve in the Ukrainian army, and when you have people who have been serving in the Ukrainian army for 2 years now, I mean, you can't blame them, can you, for wanting to not serve in a war? Can't really blame people for that. I mean, not everybody has that hero complex, but, you know, I mean, this guy right here is obviously angry because he has that hero complex. He wants to fight for his country, which is honorable. But you can't blame people for it, you know. Not wanting to lay down their lives. It's obviously something that is frowned upon, leaving your country and not defending it. But we live in a new world, you know. Not everybody has that hero complex anymore where they see it as honorable to defend their country, you know. Some people still have. I mean, you go to the United States and you ask how many people in the United States, you know, wants to defend their country, and the answer is what I would say diminishingly no. You know, sorry, diminishingly, you know, there is a lot of people who would say no nowadays, and there's a lot of people. There are people who will still say yes, or people who will say yes. I mean, they have that complex, want to fight for their country, but there are people who will say no. You know, they don't want to pay. They don't want to fight. You know, it's like an old thing. You know, fight for your country. So thinking, moved on from, right?
Наслідки нічного прильоту. Опять обстріляли школу. І оце сам прильот.
I didn't see that. What? He's busy warned of possible terrorist attacks in Moscow on March 8th or 9th. Well, it's March 10th now, so obviously nothing happen? False flag? Today? Maybe it happened today? Don't know. That's interesting. That's interesting. Timing's it's interesting because both Transnistria and Belarus has, you know, previously now been stating that they're awaiting terrorist attacks, and now the U.S. says that there might be terrorist attacks in Russia. You know, David, welcome in.
देने के बाद हमें यहाँ पर यूक्रेन छोड़ दिया गया। यूक्रेन हमारे साथ, हमारे जो साथी थे उनको ना फ्रंट लाइन पर डाल दिया गया है। हमारे साथ और भी साथी थे और हम 7 बंदे हैं जो कि 1 या 2 दिन के अंदर हमें भी कह रहे हैं कि आपको फ्रंट लाइन में डालेंगे और आप सबको युद्ध लड़ना पड़ेगा। हम बिल्कुल भी युद्ध के लिए नहीं तैयार हैं। हमें किसी को भी अच्छे से बंदूक भी नहीं पकड़नी आती और ये हमें फ्रंट लाइन पर डालना चाहते हैं। हमारी
Європейський Союз дав старт програмі під назвою Ukraine Facility. Це програма на 50 мільярдів євро на наступні 4 роки. 38,2 мільярдів євро прямої бюджетної підтримки, майже 7 мільярдів євро для залучення інвестицій в нашу економіку, 4,7 мільярдів євро технічної та адміністративної підтримки, в тому числі реформ на шляху до ЄС. Ми вдячні нашим європейським друзям за цю солідарність та допомогу. В цьому році ми прагнемо отримати від Євросоюзу близько 16 мільярдів євро.
Yeah, it is stupid. We still have a B-52 in the Mediterranean. I mean, am I the only one paying attention to the fact that we have a B-52 straddle fortress in the Mediterranean? I mean, this hasn't happened in a while. This is a B-52 in the Mediterranean. Am I the only one paying attention to that? No? Okay. Making sure. Just making sure somebody around here was paying attention to what I'm paying attention to. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing, man? Yeah. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Some crazy shit, man. Crazy shit. Some very crazy stuff. Israel Netanyahu or says Biden wrong in critic of war policy. Right. Biden is wrong by a lot of things, but the handling of the Israeli war, one of the things you might not be wrong about. I tell you that much. The CNBS report the U.S. national debt is now increased by $1 trillion about every 100 days. What? Take a look at that. $1 trillion every 100 days. I mean, what the fuck? How is that even possible? How much are you spending? If your debt is increasing, you're spending more. You know, you're spending more than you ever can. Right? You're spending more than you ever have the money to. You know. You don't think that's true? Well, I do think the 1 trillion sounds large, but I gotta be honest with you, the spending problems of the United States have become immense, you know? I mean, there is a lot of spending problems within the United States budget. I mean, you keep raising the ceiling budget, and there's a lot of expenses that the United States puts out every 100 days. So, I mean, a trillion 100 days does sound pretty expensive. Well, you know, I can't tell you if it sounds, if it's true or not. It's from a pretty trustable source, but you know, yeah. Tell you what, You're very likely. I mean, the national debt, it's increasing. It's larger than your GDP. It's larger than the money you have, which means you're printing money you don't have. No fucking wonder you have no budget deficit, because you're spending more money than you have. When you're that much in debt, you're spending more money than you have. So pretty pretty up there with what I can say to be wow. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of expensive right now. The United States is getting ready for a potential war. Don't doubt it for the factor that the factor is the United States is spending billions right now getting ready for war. The budget that you guys are using to get ready for war is huge. So don't take it as a bad thing that you're spending $1 trillion or that you're owning $1 trillion. It means that you're spending a lot of money, very likely getting ready for an eventuality. But I will say this: it's not a long-term plan, right? I mean, you have to at some point come up with a plan of how to defeat the budget. Because now, what the problem that Biden is dealing, he's going around and he's forgiving student debt, which means he's going around the country forgiving student debt. But that's not a problem. You can have student debt and they can be paid off over a long time. You can pay off your student debt pretty much your whole life. If you have low inflation and you have a good job, which the job pays you well, that student loan is only going to be a small side expense for the rest of your life, right? But they keep making these claims that, oh, we've made new jobs, right? But my point is, listen, you can make as many jobs as you can, but it's not gonna change anything. If your money's not worth anything, if your inflation keeps ramping up, and those jobs don't pay well, it doesn't matter how many jobs you create. I mean, you're not handling your inflation, and you're not handling your budget. You're spending more than you. But this, I mean, it's ridiculous. But it's I'm sure they're gonna figure it out. But yeah. Anyways, take a look at these numbers here. 900 troops, 27 APVs, 69 fuel vehicles and fuel tanks, 19 tanks, 38 artillery systems, 41 UAVs. That's a lot. 3 MRS, 2 anti-aircraft warfare system, and 6 special equipments. Both that and that increased since the last time I saw it. That one increased by 2. Well, that's good. They've lost a lot of planes lately. I think it's because Russian pilots are getting more bold because they think they're winning on the battlefield, which they are in some consensus. But the more bold and the more rigorous their efforts get, the more bold the Russian pilot seems to get. And also the equipment and this plane itself that they're trying to fly in, they're completely outdated. I mean, they're just outdated. That's what they are. What the fuck are you doing? I mean, this guy is at 9,400 feet over the ocean. Why is there a Stratofortress with a B-52 over the ocean at 9,400 feet in the air? Huh? Why? I'm just interested in it, aren't I? But yeah, I couldn't tell you. Oh my god. I suggest everyone to watch the award-winning documentary 20 Days in Mariupol, link below. It shows Russian attacks against civilians and infrastructure in cities. Right, yeah. 20 Days in Mariupol. I haven't watched it. Don't know if I'm gonna watch it. Not because of... I don't think it's gonna be good. But I have enough understanding of what's going on in Ukraine for me to not be brainwashed by the Russians to think that there isn't anything going on in Ukraine. I mean, the Russian sentiments right now is to try to... All right, it's gone. There you go. It's gone. I mean, the Russian sentiments right now, of course, is to try and prove to me that there isn't civilian killings in Ukraine. I tell them, well, I don't tell them, but I say, listen, we all know that there are civilian killings in Ukraine on a industrial scale at this point in time. But, you know, I mean, they keep acting like we don't know, you know? Like, what's the point of lying? We know. Like, we know what the fuck you're talking about. We know what the fuck, you know. Why lie? That's my point there. We have a P8 outside Romania here in the Black Sea. That's been a while since I've seen that. These guys are they're sup hunters. So, they're definitely looking for something. Or someone. Oh. Did you hear that? I mean, there's continuous pushes along on the front lines here. I'm going to go on to Safe Echo Map. I just want to see what's going on here. What is going on, Mike? Check it out. So, the area, this is Zaporizhia, right? This is Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. The worry that is happening here is that there are cooling systems. These are the plants. There's 6 of them. These are the cooling systems. And these cooling systems, this is a pond. This is the area that everybody thought was going to run out of water for some point, but it didn't. It's all right. They've hooked it up to another system. It's all right. That's not our worry. The worry is the power system. And they needed the cooling systems, which I believe is those guys, or, you know, these are the ponds. These are the ponds where they were fun. I'm not that much into it. I just know basic things. And if those cooling systems don't have power to be able to cool the systems, which are still running, one of them is in hot shutdown mode to be able to produce steam. You know, if that doesn't have its cooling, or if the systems itself don't have cooling, well then, you know, there could be a potential overheating, which will cause a meltdown, which I'm not sure if it's going to be on the same scale as Chernobyl, or because we're not sure exactly how the meltdown, because they're not running currently. These plants are not, as far as I understand, not at full capacity running. But I do know one of them is that hot shutdown mode, which is basically running, but yeah. It's producing steam and power for the plant itself, which is, you know. But that's not the problem. You know, you ask yourself, well, couldn't they just produce power for their own cooling? Then there wouldn't be any you know, stopping. But there is certain rules, and I do believe you need to have an external power to be able to control that stuff. So I don't know, but you know, not a nuclear physicist. That's all I know. All I know is that there is a certain problem. The scale of danger right now, they have put up an imaginary scale, and this comes directly from the director of Ernagon, the people who run the plant, have said that the scale, the imaginary scales, which goes from 0 to 10, and that the danger right now, in terms of meltdown or any other forms of consequences or catastrophes or anything, is at 7 to 8. So that's pretty problematic. The Russians simply aren't running a plant. You know, they're not doing it. They're not repairing anything. They're not doing it properly. And then there's the other problem, which is they're not. They don't have competent personnel to be able to run the area. So yeah, we are looking into it. But I am worried. But as worried as I say I am, I'm not, you know, like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm worried the factor that the Russians are doing something stupid, you know. I mean, but that's my, where we are right now. There's not really anything else. Like, it's a slow time. Like, news aren't, that there isn't anything particular happening. Things have been kind of, they haven't been slow. I mean, there's obviously been some things happening, but yeah. I will say there are some new things happening in Azerbaijan, as I read that earlier here. We do have some things happening here. So here we have it. Azerbaijan has demanded Armenia immediately hands over control of 4 villages to Azerbaijan. So Azerbaijan has been noticed to be possibly what? Armenia must join EU ASAP. Well, I don't want fucking Armenia in the EU. Who the fuck wants Armenia in the in the European Union? They're not even in Europe. It's called the European Union for a fucking reason. I mean, I'm just not. That's. I mean, they've talked about Georgia. I don't know. Armenia is too backwards. I wouldn't support that. Azerbaijan has demanded a medium, but the Azerbaijan has been noted to be preparing for a full-scale invasion of Armenia. And this could be kind of like what they did in World War I, where they sent the other source an ultimatum saying you have to do this or you have to give us that, and if they don't do it, then they go to war. That could be what's happening here. So yeah.
Mr. Congress, we have to stand up to Putin.
Everyone wants in. Go down to Africa, everyone wants in either way. But listen, there's a reason why it's called the European Union, because you're in Europe, you're in Eurasia. Well, Eurasia is not what I was trying to say. Eurasia is a continent, which they call it a continent. That's not what I wanted to say. Europe is a continent, but yeah, sorry, it's because I said Eurasia, which is like Eurasia is from the UK to Asia. That's Eurasia. That's because they say that this whole thing is a continent, but in reality, it's really not. Well, it is, but yeah, I don't know. We like to set ourselves apart. This is Europe. They do say this is where it cuts off. They do say that the continent looks like this. Like it just cuts off at Turkey, even though it really doesn't. A lot of Turkey is in what appears to be the European continent, but they do say it's like this. Blup. We don't want Turkey. Oh, we do want Ukraine, sure. And then a lot of Russia here, almost up to here, and then of course all these guys. It's kind of like a weird thing, right? And then of course all this is Asia. That's all Asia right there. Sorry, look kind of down. There you go. That's Indonesia. And then we have Africa, which is kind of South America, North America. And then, of course, the great big Antarctica, which isn't really that large. I mean, it is. Sorry, that's not what I meant to say. Antarctica is huge. North Pole. But is that, yeah. Why did I keep going? Sometimes I'm not sure if I have ADHD or not. Sometimes I just go on a rampage, talking about stuff that makes no sense, but whatever. Anyways, yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot of else I wanted to talk about. I just want to come in here and really quickly give you an update on what I have seen throughout the last few days here. Just keep an eye out on things. Things are moving on the Ukrainian battlefields, but they are not moving as fast as they have been for the past few days here. The Russian standstill. We all have ADHD. Some of us, yeah, we all have something. But yeah, no, the Russian offensive has slowed down a bit, as it was going forward quite a lot, but the Ukrainians, they didn't have time to settle themselves in, but they have had time now. I believe that they are now holding pretty fastly on the Ukrainian front. So we are seeing a short-term sort of success from Russia, but now they're not really doing much anyways. Thank you so much for stopping by here. I'm gonna get off here. Have a good time, because I just want to give you a little bit of an heads up on things. So yeah. Thank you so much, Tom.